Are you happy? If not, is it because something is missing in your life? Something or someone that, if they were there, would make you feel complete? Well, today we are going to explore this topic and answer the question, does happiness depend on others? Before we get into it, I have a quiz for you. I want you to think about the times that you felt happiest in your life so far, and then I want you to try to break down those moments and pinpoint what exactly made you feel that way. For some of you, it might have been a moment where you felt very connected to somebody else. It could have been a moment of intense excitement or pleasure, or maybe it was a moment where you felt at peace with yourself. But whatever it was, I want you to try to be as specific as possible. What exactly happened? Who was there? How did you feel? Now, there are many ways to define happiness. But for the sake of this video, let's go with the definition of a state of well-being and contentment. With that in mind, can you see how happiness could depend on others? Let's take a look at some scenarios. Scenario no. 1. You depend on other people for your happiness because you haven't developed a strong sense of self-worth. Your own self-esteem is contingent upon the approval of other people. If they like you, you feel good about yourself. But if they reject you or abandon you, you don't know what to do with yourself. This is what happens when you are overly dependent on the opinions of others. You lose touch with your own sense of identity and self-worth. Then, when those people leave, you are left feeling lost and unhappy. But in reality, true happiness comes from within. When you have a strong sense of self-worth, you know that you are valuable no matter what anyone else thinks of you. Of course, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't care about other people's opinions. It just means that you shouldn't base your happiness on them. Unfortunately, many of us grow up in environments where we are constantly seeking the approval of our parents or caregivers, and as a result, we develop a habit of depending on others for our happiness. The good news is that this is a habit that can be broken with a lot of work and self-reflection. No. 2. You depend on other people for your happiness because you are afraid of being alone. You might have experienced a significant loss in the past, such as the death of a loved one or the end of a long-term relationship. And as a result, you may now feel like you cannot live without someone by your side. Or maybe you've never really been on your own before and you're not sure if you can handle it. But whatever the reason, this fear of being alone can end up causing you a lot of unhappiness. After all, when you are in a relationship out of fear of being alone, you are not truly free to be yourself. You may feel like you have to hide certain parts of yourself in order to make the other person happy. And eventually, that can take a toll on your mental health. So if you realize that you are only in relationships out of fear of being alone, it might be helpful to take some time to explore the root of that fear. What is it exactly that you are afraid of? And once you understand that, you can start to take steps to overcome it. No. 3. You depend on other people for your happiness because you are not living in accordance with your values. You may know what you should be doing in order to be happy, but you are not actually doing it. For example, you may know that spending time with loved ones will make you feel connected and fulfilled. but you find yourself spending most of your time on social media instead. Or maybe you know that helping others is what makes you feel purposeful and happy, but you find yourself too preoccupied with your own problems to lend a helping hand. Whatever it is, when you are not living in accordance with your values, you will eventually start to feel unhappy and unfulfilled. In order to avoid this, it's important to take the time to figure out what you believe in and then make sure that your actions reflect those beliefs. No. 4. You depend on other people for your happiness because you have unrealistic expectations of them. We often put our partners, friends, and family members on pedestals and expect them to be perfect. We may expect them to always know what to say or do, or to always make us happy, which is not realistic. When we have these high expectations of other people, we are setting ourselves up for disappointment. And when they inevitably fall short of our expectations, we end up feeling unhappy. In order to avoid this, it's important to have realistic expectations of other people. Remember that they are human beings just like you, which means they will make mistakes. And it's also important to communicate your expectations clearly. Don't expect the other person to be a mind reader. If there is something that you need or want from them, chances are they won't be able to provide it unless you ask for it directly. By communicating your needs clearly, you will not only be able to set realistic expectations, but you will also be able to build stronger relationships. No. You depend on other people for your happiness because you are not grateful for what you have. When you are constantly focused on what you don't have, it's easy to feel unhappy and unfulfilled. This is especially true when you compare yourself to others who seem to have it all. But when you start to focus on all the good things that you do have to be grateful for, your happiness levels will start to increase. It may not seem like much at first, but over time it can make a world of difference. One way to cultivate more gratitude in your life is to keep a gratitude journal. Every day, write down a few things that you are grateful for. It doesn't have to be anything major. Just focusing on the small things can make a big difference. No. 6. You depend on other people for your happiness because you do not know how to be alone with yourself. Many of us are not used to spending time by ourselves. We are always surrounded by noise or distractions, and as a result, we don't know how to sit with our own thoughts. When we are uncomfortable with silence, it can be difficult to be happy, especially when we are alone. We may try to fill the silence with distractions like TV or social media, but that can end up making us feel more unhappy. Instead, it can be helpful to learn how to be comfortable with silence. This can help you to connect with yourself on a deeper level and ultimately lead to more happiness. Number 7, you depend on other people for your happiness because you haven't forgiven them. When you are holding onto anger or resentment towards someone, it can be difficult to find happiness. This is because negative emotions like these are very powerful and they can consume your thoughts. They can also take up a lot of energy, which makes it difficult to focus on the positive. As a result, you may find yourself constantly thinking about the person who has wronged you, and the best way to deal with this is to forgive them. Forgiveness does not mean condoning their behavior. It simply means releasing the negative emotions you are holding onto so that you can move forward. No. 8. You depend on other people for your happiness because you have low self-confidence. Having low self-confidence can make it difficult to believe that you can achieve your goals or deserve to be happy. As a result, you may find yourself constantly looking for validation from others. But when you are constantly seeking validation from others, you are not allowing yourself to be truly happy. This is because you are constantly seeking external sources of validation instead of developing a strong sense of self-confidence. One way to improve your self-confidence is to set and achieve small goals. By setting and achieving these goals, you will start to believe in yourself more, and that will eventually lead to greater happiness. And no. 9. You depend on other people for your happiness because you are codependent. Codependency is a serious issue that can have a negative impact on your life. When you are codependent, you may find yourself constantly seeking validation and approval from others. You may also have difficulty setting boundaries, and may feel like you are always sacrificing your own needs for the needs of others. This can be problematic because it can make it difficult to form healthy and fulfilling relationships. In order to overcome codependency, it is important to seek professional help. A therapist can help you to understand the root of your codependency and develop healthier coping mechanisms. So, do you relate to any of these scenarios? If so, what do you plan to do about it? Remember that you are not alone in this. Many of us struggle with depending on others for our happiness from time to time. The important thing is to be aware of it and then take steps to correct it. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and share it with your friends. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.